What's up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to NFL Showdown pre-lock. We got the Eagles. We got the Rams. My name is TJ Zwarych, joined not by Chief. We had a late scratch, a late sub-in, coming in clutch, as per usual. TastefulTides. Shiver me, Tim Buell. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, TJ. We were just talking about how our days kind of ended a little bit early today due to Brian Robinson Jr. That was a kind of a bad beat to start the day with, and I could not recover from it. My team was pretty good too, and made a bad choice at defense, and obviously Brian Robinson hurt quite a bit, and yeah, so it's wasn't great for me. Hopefully we can make up for it on Showdown though.
Hopefully we can make up for it on Showdown. I actually did some Showdown stuff for the San Francisco and the Packers game. And so if Brandon Allen can, he's found himself in a positive script, if he can have a good finish to this game, garnering some points, I could have myself a decent day where I basically just break even. And that's because of that's solely because of the Showdown, and it was all ruined. I was well overweight on Achane, well overweight on Bucky Irving. I had so much Bucky Irving, and the Brian Robinson thing really brought it all down. But we're here to talk about the Showdown game tonight. Like I said, we got the Eagles and the Rams. This should be a fun one. What's up to the chat? If you're watching us, drop your questions, anything for FanDuel, for DraftKings, about dinner tonight, let us know. Just all we ask is that you smash that like button if you're watching us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, see some classics. Butto Jenkins, Carolina guy in there already. So make sure you're smashing that like button. Make sure you're subscribing. And let's dive into this. What's your kind of first look thoughts at how this game is going to go? Because I think this should be a fun one. You never really know on a primetime game. It seems like on these Sunday night football games, the offenses always sputter. But we could get a few fireworks tonight.
I mean, we also usually get like not so great games in primetime. It seems like the last couple of years. This should not be the case tonight. At least one really, really good team against at least a slightly above average team now that they're healthy. The Rams, the Eagles are 3-point favorites on the road. I think that this game, it's a 47-point total. I guess it's up to 49 in some places now. It's a 49 total. I mean, I think this game is going to be a lot of fun, and I think there's a lot of different ways that you can build. I think there's a lot of different captains you can go with also. It's really, I think this is a really awesome Showdown game.
Couldn't agree more. Let's start diving into some of those captains. I'm doing 20 entry max, and I'm admittedly going a little aggressive with my strategy, much like I did the main slate today, where I had a very tight core and I played them in almost every lineup, and that didn't work so well with Brian Robinson. I'm doing it anyways on the Showdown slate as well. I'm not letting the PTSD of what happened this morning burn me. And so I'm going one captain for all 20 of my lineups, and it is not a top of the board captain. I'm getting a little different with it. But
can you give me one guess?
Yeah.
I'll take one guess at it. Is it that Dallas Goedert?
It is Dallas Goedert as my captain in 100% of my lineups today.
Yeah.
How did you come to that conclusion, and who do you like today at captain?
Well, as soon as you said it wasn't a top of the board kind of guy, because he was my initial first lean on if I wasn't going to take a top of the board type of play, who would be my captain? And I was like Dallas Goedert, because he's really going to be I think he's going to be the true wide receiver too. So I think if AJ Brown fails, if Saquon fails, and the Eagles are still somewhat competent, it's going to be through Goedert. So I don't mind that play at captain at all. I'm trying to see if I got to any Goedert in Sims. I got to like 4 or 5% of Goedert at captain. So yeah, I mean, I don't really mind that at all. Actually, I think that's a pretty good play. Obviously, I think Jalen Hurts is probably like your safest captain, especially because he gets a ton of tush push equity. Let's call it. He snipers a lot of goal line touchdowns with that QB sneak. So I think Hurts is probably your optimal captain. He definitely has the highest optimal rate at captain. So I think Hurts is a really, really strong play. If I'm not going to go Hurts, what I'm struggling is I can't really decide if I don't go Hurts and I don't go AJ Brown. Do I go Barkley or do I go Cup or do I go Nakua? I think they're all really, really strong plays, and I think that's what makes this such a fun showdown slate. I think that my next favorite captain behind Hurts, what I'm getting to the most in Sims is Puka Nakua. So I'm getting to him about 20% of the time, where I'm getting to Hurts about 30%. So I think Nakua would be my pivot off of Hurts, but it's super close.
I really like that Nakua call, and that's kind of why I decided to go with Goddard with all of these lineups, is because, and I was wrong actually. I have 18 of 20 lineups are Goddard. I have one Hurts, I have one Barkley, and those are just full Philly onslaught teams. But outside of that, I have Goddard to the captain in all of them. The reason for that was I just kind of couldn't decide which of these studs to prioritize because there's so many of them, and I wanted to get as many studs as possible into the lineup because there's so many of them. So we talked about how Goddard's going to essentially be the wide receiver 2 in this one. He, in the past, has a much expanded route tree when Devonta Smith has missed time, and I'm counting on that as well for this one. And so, yeah, I love that call. I love the Nakua call. I agree. Hurts is the kind of single entry cash option, the highest optimal rate guy. Barkley is a fine pivot. Nakua is my next favorite. AJ Brown probably comes in third for me of the high-end guys, but I'm big on Goddard today. What about the flex position of these studs? Kind of what I did with all these Goddard teams is I just mixed and matched Nakua, Cup, Hurts, Barkley into all of these different ones. Who are you prioritizing in the spend ups at flex?
So obviously, it kind of depends on what I decide to do at captain, but I'm playing a lot of Goddard in flex, not a captain. I know you're playing a captain. I do like that quite a bit. So I am gonna go Goddard quite a bit in the flex, and then obviously I'm a big fan of kickers. I know that's very, very boring to talk about, but I do like kickers. Especially in matchups like this. So I am pretty high on the kickers. If you're looking for like some cheapies, obviously Davis Allen at 1,600 on DraftKings. He's a really, really strong play. He's running way more routes than Parkinson, even though Parkinson sniped the TD from him last week. But I do think that Allen's going to be way more owned. So if you want to pay the 2K for Parkinson just to be different and take a chance, I don't hate it. I don't mind Calcaterra at 1,200 either, as like a cheap value play. Johnny Wilson at $800 if you're trying to go stars and scrubs. He's not an amazing play, but I think he is at least viable. I don't know. I think this really does set up to be outside of Goddard. Really, I think this sets up to be a big time stars and scrubs type build.
Yep, I agree on that front. I usually get to a lot of the kickers as well. I'm not getting to as much of them today. I am punting on a few of these Eagles receivers. I'm still waiting to see an inactive list to see who is in for this one and who isn't. But without Devonta Smith, even though I love Goddard, I'm still trying to take some punts with these Eagles receivers. And I wish I could get some more Davis Allen, but I just found myself needing to go even cheaper than that if I wanted to get as many of these expensive guys as possible. So I'll be underweight on the kickers. I'll be underweight on the defenses. And I'll likely be underweight on the kind of mid 3 to 4K tier range as well. And there almost doesn't really feel like outside of Goddard exist anything between 5 and 7K in this.
There really isn't. I'm not on the defenses at all. If they beat me, they beat me, but I'm not going to play them.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see this Eagles inactive list because I'm trying to get a decent amount of these cheap receivers, and I feel like there's a chance one of the ones I have in my lineup may not actually make the player pool, or may not actually make the active roster today. But I'm trying a little bit of Calcaterra. I have Johnny Wilson, but I'm also trying Ina Smith, and I'm trying Britton Covey too, because Britton Covey has been activated off the IR. And so if he dresses, he was a guy that we actually saw them go to a lot when they were missing somebody and he was healthy. So if Covey just steps right back in to be the wide receiver 3, we don't know if that's going to be the case. But if he does, I want to have some exposure to him, and I don't think many other people are going to. So I got some Covey as well.
I think that's a really good call. He's $200. So he's the Stone Man. I absolutely love that. We just got a question in chat. Is Covey going to be wide receiver 3? We're not sure yet, but we'll know pretty soon here about the active lists. So yeah, great call on Covey for sure.
I'm just looking at it, and I can't quite build the team that I wanted to build for single entry for DraftKings, but I'm going with it, and it's actually a 4-2 Rams team, which I don't know how great I feel about, but it's the way that I could get the most studs in, and I guess I'm playing Stafford, even though I didn't want to play him. I wanted to get up to Kyren Williams, but that is okay. We'll leave it with Stafford.
I don't really like Kyren tonight. I'm not sure if that's a super hot take or not. I just want to attack this game with the wide receivers for the Rams. I'm not really that high in Kyren.
Fair. I don't have a ton of him. I definitely like Kupp and Nakua better, but I think I like Kyren better than Stafford. That's kind of how I think I got it. Nakua, Kupp, Kyren, Stafford. How would you rank the four Rams 9K and above guys?
Yeah, so it would be Puka, Kupp, Stafford, Kyren. Yeah.
What about the Eagles? Like, if you can choose one of them in flex or captain, are you prioritizing Barkley or Hurts in your personal lineup?
I'm prioritizing Hurts, but it's terrifying. So Saquon, yeah, I mean he's really, really expensive. He deserves to be that expensive. He is just, man, he's very, very frustrating because he can get a lot of touchdowns taken away from him, and that we've seen really all year. So he's got to do a lot to pay off that price tag. So right now I'm out on Barkley, but I completely understand if people want to play him. He's certainly not a bad play.
All right. Well, what about where does AJ Brown fit into this for you? Because on the surface, I liked both Hurts and Barkley significantly more than AJ Brown, but this could be a really big day for him without Devonta Smith. And that price difference just down to 9,800, I found that being huge. Like, those dollars matter on this slate. And so I'm getting to actually more of him individually than Hurts and Barkley.
Yeah, so Brown is my 4th favorite captain. Hurts is number 1, Puka number 2, Kupp number 3, and then Brown number 4. It becomes a debate between the 3 wide receivers if I don't go Hurts. Obviously, he has a huge target share without Smith on the field. So definitely, I think AJ Brown is a fantastic play. I think he's got a slate-breaking ceiling. And we really haven't seen him have like a huge game this year. So I'm wondering if people will like chase game logs and like not play him at captain, and it'll be kind of like low owned in the captain spot. If so, I'll have to look at ownership a little bit more, but like if he's going to be lower owned in captain than Kupp and Puka, then I probably want to play Brown over those Rams wide receivers.
All right, let's pivot over to FanDuel, and then we'll start getting to some QQs. So make sure you get your questions in for FanDuel, for DraftKings, for what you're having for dinner tonight. Just smash that like button for us if you're watching on YouTube. Pivoting over to FanDuel here, the MVP position obviously differs without that salary multiplier. How are you picking your priority guy here? Where, yes, Jalen Hurts is obviously the most optimal. If you're playing a cash game, Jalen Hurts looks pretty great, but he's going a little bit over owned in that position. And basically anyone else will be a little bit different today in tournaments.
That's right. Like if you don't play Hurts, then you're just auto being different. I think if I don't go Hurts, I don't know. It's really, really hard. I think probably Barkley like pay all the way up. I'm getting to Barkley the second most in Sims. It's Hurts, then it's Barkley, then it's Williams, then it's Cup, and then it's AJ Brown, and then it's Stafford. So I think I would just pay all the way up for Barkley and hope that he gets the TDs because you're so TD dependent on FanDuel. So I do like Barkley a little bit more just to be different at MVP on FanDuel. If I don't do that, then I guess it probably I still don't really like Kyron that much in the spot, so I think I would go probably Cooper Kupp as my next favorite MVP play.
I really like the prices of all these Rams players on FanDuel. Like Hurts and Barkley are so tough to get to. It's kind of really they make it so that you can really only get one. I like Barkley a little bit better in the MVP for tournaments, but I think AJ Brown makes for a very interesting MVP there. And then Nakua would probably be my next favorite one as well. He's the one showing the most positive leverage of the group. He and Cooper Kupp both actually. So the Rams receivers, I think, make for really great options in the MVP position. At flex, this is where I'm having a tougher time deciding between Hurts and Barkley, who I like more, because if Hurts is going so heavily owned in the captain position, I don't mind the idea of playing him in flex instead because he's actually going a little under owned here. But we see that Barkley is too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a really tough call between those two guys where you put them. I still think on FanDuel, just because of ownership, is going to be so huge on Hurts to play Barkley at MVP and then play Hurts in flex and then get to like a kicker at like 8,500 or 9K and then get down to like maybe a I don't know, like a Davis Allen at 6,500, something like that. But if you just don't put Hurts at your MVP, you will be different.
Exactly. And so I like getting to Hurts at the flex position a lot here. I'll be looking at differentiated MVP, but at flex, I want to play him a ton. I don't think you need to take the shots. Like if you're playing a ton of lineups, sure, absolutely. But I don't think you need to take the shots on the Dotsons, the Johnny Wilsons, the Britton Coveys, Calcaterra, Ina Smith, anybody like that on FanDuel, unless you're playing a bunch of lineups. On DraftKings, they're a lot more valuable where the price differential is so huge. For what it's worth, the Eagles and actives did just come out. Covey's active. Smith is not Devonta. Ina Smith is active. Jacob Wilson's in there, and Dotson's, of course, in there too. So I think Dotson's going to be playing the most snaps as the wide receiver too, even though Goddard's going to get the more valuable routes and more targets. And then I think probably Covey, Smith, Jacob Wilson all rotate. Just once we're off, make sure you're checking out Twitter and do some searches, because the last time that we saw Covey get a ton of snaps and start playing a lot, there was tweets out there saying that he was working with the first team in warmups for this game, and then that held true to the actual game. A lot of the time you see that, and it's just so somebody can try something before the game starts in the warmup. But outside of that, a lot of times we'll see somebody like Covey, if they're working with the first team, that means they're going to be more involved. And what that often does, he's a guy they throw a lot of screen passes to, a lot of short passes to, and then they bring Jacob Wilson in when they get to the red zone because he's such a big body. And so I'm mixing and matching those guys on DraftKings, but I am getting a little piece of each of them. I think Covey's probably the one I like most, all the way down at $200. Let's start taking some QQs while we're still here on FanDuel. Single entry, favorite low-owned flex, and favorite low-owned captain.
All right, so low-owned captain would be Barkley. And then I think low-owned flex would be, I mean, we're only showing Davis Allen with 12% in flex as projected owned. So if that's really true, it would be Davis Allen for me. I'm a little bit worried that's going to get steamed, but I would say Davis Allen at 6,500.
Davis Allen would be mine too for the low-owned flex. I think AJ Brown probably for my favorite low-owned captain. This question from the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. We'll be checking there as well. In addition to YouTube, make sure you're smashing that like button. This one's from the Discord. They ask, is 3 Eagles pass catchers too much if they're playing Hurts? I would assume Hurts is in the captain position.
Captain spot. Scenario. I don't think that's the best idea because you want Hurts to like get that rushing TD, which would kind of hurt those 3 wide receiver ceiling a little bit. I guess if one of them is like one of the super cheap guys that only needs like 1 or 2 catches, I guess it's okay.
They kind of have to be, right? Because after when you play AJ Brown and Goddard, and then that's all that's left with the cheapies. So
right. So if you go, yeah, I guess I don't hate it.
Honestly, even if Hurts isn't the captain, he's just in the flex. Like I do have lineups with 3 Eagles pass catchers with Goddard in the captain because they have AJ Brown and they have one of the super cheapies because that's the only way I can afford 2 other expensive Rams players in that same lineup. So I like that one quite a bit. What do we got here for next questions? Of course, about Covey, we touched on that one a little bit. He is active. Make sure you check the reports once we are off the show about whether or not he's warming up with the first team, things like that. Whether he is or not, it's probably Jacob Wilson that comes in at the red zone, but I do think Covey could get some work. And at $200, all he needs is a couple catches. Favorite single entry captain on DraftKings, Tim?
So if I'm not going Hurts, I am going to be going. Oh man, it's so tough between these 3 wide receivers. I think I'll be going. I think I'll be going Puka Nacua.
All right, I like that play. It's Dallas Goedert for me as my number 1 favorite guy for single entry because I'm playing him in single entry and I'm playing him in 18 of my 20 lineups in 20 entry max today as well. Butto Jenkins says nobody likes Kyron Williams captain tonight. I'm not on him. You don't seem to be on him either.
No, Sims aren't on him, and ownership's not going to be on him either. So if you have conviction with him, I say go for it.
Serotonin Cowboy says he's feeling Kenneth Gainwell tonight. We haven't touched on Gainwell. What do you think about him as a cheaper flex?
How much is he? I think he was $3K. Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. I don't mind it. Projected for like 4.5 points. Could potentially steal a touchdown, I guess. I don't mind it. Let me check Sims. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm getting to around 10% in Sims, so I guess it's not horrible.
All right. Serotonin Cowboy says he's playing Stafford at captain tonight. What do you think about Stafford at the captain position on DraftKings?
He falls pretty low for me with all these elite pass catchers and a truly elite stud running back in Barkley. He's pretty far down for me personally.
The case I will make for him is he is cheaper than all the other expensive options. So it does allow you to stack up quite a few other pieces. And just because he's a quarterback, he correlates well with all of them. How chalky is Jalen Hurts at the captain position? He's currently projecting for 17% ownership at the captain position, which is 1 less than his optimal rate. So the highest owned captain, but not going over owned, according to the Sims. On FanDuel, Stafford and Kyron or Kupp and Demarcus Robinson, last 2 men in. I mean, as much as we don't love prioritizing Stafford and Kyron, I think that's a pretty clear Stafford and Kyron for me.
What was the other one? I'm sorry.
Kupp and Demarcus Robinson.
Oh, yeah. I would go Stafford side.
Favorite MVP on FanDuel other than Hurts? For you, it's Saquon Barkley. For me, I actually think it's Barkley too. I just don't mind doing AJ Brown in the large field stuff because I think he'll come in lower owned than Barkley does. But I think I would probably go Saquon as well. Eric Johnson says, is Kupp captain or is it a Puka night? I think we think it's a Puka night.
I'm leaning Puka. I wish I had the answer for you though, Eric. I'm leaning Puka.
it rarely, like, it always is a coin flip which one of them gets more, because, you know, Cup probably gets a couple more targets. Nakua probably gets a few more air yards, but even those aren't givens. And so much of it depends on whichever one gets into the end zone. So both are phenomenal plays tonight, and it really is just a coin flip. I do have and Bato Jenkins says just play both. I have a lot of lineups where I'm playing both of them. And so I think it's totally okay to play Cup and Nakua without Stafford. I don't think you need to play Stafford in a lineup that you're playing both, because they could each have 9 to 10 catches, and even if only one of them gets into the end zone, that could be enough for both of them to get optimal on a point per dollar site like DraftKings. So on FanDuel, if I was playing both, I maybe would want Stafford, but on DraftKings, if I'm perfectly okay with playing both, even without getting Stafford. What do you think about that?
I agree with you completely, honestly. You don't have to play Stafford to play both of them.
Let's get the shout out to Chop, but let's get our classic Feel It in the Plums plays, the play we think is going to break the slate, the best play of the night here on Showdown before we get out of here. What do you think about your Feel It in the Plums play today? Who are you feeling?
I'm gonna try to find somebody that's super like absolutely like really low owned here at the flex. Man, I'm gonna say Johnny Wilson is in the winning like $15 GBP on DK.
Johnny Wilson is a nice one for Showdown because he's so cheap, and you know all you really need is a pass or two from him. But he's probably going to be getting, like, we almost know he's going to be getting 1 or 2 targets in the end zone at least this game, just because they throw the big man those balls a couple every game, and it doesn't land often. But when it does, that's a huge day from a guy at that price tag. I was distracted there because I needed the 49ers were driving. I need them to score. Brandon Allen completes a pass to McCaffrey, and he fumbles the ball.
Oh, no.
McCaffrey killing me 2 weeks in a row, and I didn't even play him this week. What are your thoughts on Colby Parkinson tonight?
I mean, we saw it work last week, pivoting from Allen, so I guess it could work tonight. It's very dangerous, but it's going to be significantly lower owned, so I guess it's so bad it could be good, I guess. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't love it just because he's not playing anywhere near as Davis Allen. Davis Allen is the clear like tight end 1 for that team right now. But on Showdown, all you need is to fall into the end zone. He did it last game. He could do it this game too. A lot of more people asking about Britton Covey. What's our projection on him? I am searching a tweet for him right now just to see if I can see if there's any information on if he might get a look in the offense today, or if he's just kind of there as a backup, a just in case situation in his first game back. He grew up playing with Puka Nacua. Found out that's somewhat interesting. But outside of that, nothing really other than he's been fielding punts so far in warm up. We are currently projecting him. I'll do a refresh just in case it is updated. In our projections, we have Britton Covey for only 0.78 points. I think that's a little low. I think he'll probably get a pet catcher too. That's why I'm playing some Britton Covey today. I'll just see what the Blitz has him in for. The Blitz has him for 0.85. So both the RotoGrinders projections and the Blitz projections are in line. But I think he makes for a great play at $200 because when we've seen him, we've seen them be down some men and him step in and play a pretty big role. Eric Johnson wants to know, which kicker do you like better?
I think I like Cardi better.
Any Jake Elliott captains? No. Barkley and Hurts with 3 Rams on FanDuel, or would you suggest a 3-2 Eagles lineup? It doesn't really matter to me, the construction of how many players per team I'm playing in Showdown. Like, I don't really view it that way. I look at the specific players that are in the lineup. I think it's totally viable to do 3 Rams with Barkley and Hurts. Like if Hurts gets a couple sneaks, Barkley rushes a couple one, and it's entirely possible without Devonta Smith. If AJ Brown gets shut down and Goddard doesn't go the way I hope it to, there's a good chance we could absolutely just see all the points coming on the ground for Philly today, and then you get the Rams having a pass to catch up. And so I like that lineup construction quite a bit. I think that'll do it. We have hit all of the questions. I'll make one last check over to Discord to make sure we've gotten all of them there. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in, whether you're watching us live or after the fact. Make sure you smash that like button. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll be back for more Showdown content tomorrow night for the Monday Night Football game. And then, of course, it's Thanksgiving week for all you Americans, and so we will be back with more content for that as well. We'll have a show on Thursday morning for the pre-lock show with me, with you, Tim Buell, and with Will. And so we'll get the squad back together for that one. Monday night, we got Chop and Beer for the Monday Night Showdown show. The OGs are back together for Monday Night Showdown, so make sure you tune in for that one. Smash that like button on your way out. Tim, anything for the people before we get out of here?
Nope. Good luck, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Grinders Live at 5:00 with me, Bobby, and Dean.
There you go. The People Show back together for the second straight day. Go Dallas Goddard tonight. Good luck, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you again next time. I don't have the right credits, and so I gotta shuffle on the fly here, Tim, because my usual ones with Will aren't even there. So we're gonna go with a different pre-lock one that we're not on, but that doesn't matter because the people know who we are. They know that we did the show. We'll see you next time, everybody.